Newly confirmed Secretary of State Marco Rubio is on his way to Central America with a stop scheduled in Panama. It's likely that Secretary Rubio will be meeting with Panamanian officials to discuss the Panama Canal. Even before taking office, President Trump publicly expressed his dissatisfaction with China's involvement in the region and the alleged violation of the original treaty that President Carter brokered to hand over the Panama Canal. If you ask critics of Trump, the Panama Canal belongs to Panama fair and square. Is President Trump merely flexing his imperial muscle on Panama, or is there a legitimate concern that warrants action from the United States? The Panama Canal was completed in 1914 with a cost to the U.S. of $400 million. The U.S. made a $10 million initial payment to Panama and $250,000 per year initially, with payments increasing over the years. The U.S. also built the Bridge of the Americas in the early 60s, which crosses the Pacific entrance to the Panama Canal in Panama City at a cost of $20 million. President Carter signed the Panama Canal over to Panama in 1977, and they assumed full control in 1999 under the terms of the Torrijos-Carter treaties. Under the terms of the treaties, the canal was to remain neutral and allow for the United States to defend the canal if neutrality comes under threat or interference. President Trump argues that due to China's involvement in the region, the Panama Canal is no longer neutral and has violated the terms of the treaty. The Panama Canal is a key advantage for the U.S. Navy, reducing response time for mobilization to the Atlantic or from the Pacific. And it is also critical for shipping because it acts as a vital link between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, allowing ships to avoid the lengthy and hazardous journey around South America. The United States is the largest user of the canal, accounting for around 72% of the traffic, with China being the second largest user. In 2024, the Panama Canal's revenue was around $5 billion, most of which came from shipments in the United States. 6% of all global trade passes through the Panama Canal, a space no more than 1,000 feet at its widest point. As indicated, the Panama Canal is not only vital to the U.S. economy, but it is also critical for defense. It's no wonder why it has garnered President Trump's focus. But is there truly a threat from China? China controls ports on both ends of the Panama Canal, and in 2024, Chinese companies completed the Armador Pacific Coast Cruise Terminal. In 2017, diplomatic relations between Panama and China were strengthened after Panama broke relations with Taiwan. Shortly thereafter, Panama signed on to China's Belt and Road Initiative, a strategy aimed at massive infrastructure development. And it's not just Panama that China has strengthened ties with. China has invested all over Latin America to promote its strategic objectives by providing grants, scholarships, and loans. They've also invested over $2 billion in Trinidad and Tobago across various sectors, including energy, infrastructure, and trade. China also recently loaned nearly $700 million to Brazil. As we look back to Panama, another glaring detriment to U.S. interests is illegal immigration through the Darien Gap. This is a remote area of rainforest in Panama that is used as an immigration route largely from Venezuela and China. While it is evident this region poses great risk or great advantage to protecting American interests, the question is, can Secretary Rubio orchestrate a deal? Recently, Rubio remarked that the Panamanian government is very friendly to the U.S. and we want that to continue. Panamanian President Jose Raul Mulino has denied that China is running the canal and said there are no plans to return it to the United States. The fact is, companies based in China are required by law to share intelligence with the government. So, while it may be technically true that these are Chinese companies involved in the Panama Canal and not the government, when it comes to information gathering and sharing, they are one and the same. With a massive investment in the region, it is likely that China will not easily give up their grasp. It's possible that any deal Rubio proposes with Panama could potentially violate a deal they already have with China. This creates a recipe for a potentially tense conflict in the region. One can argue that Panama has clearly violated the treaties with the United States, and military force is now justified as indicated in the terms of the agreement. President Trump is a master negotiator, and he seems to be playing the bad cop while Secretary Rubio is playing the good cop. Can this duo come to terms with Panama to protect American interests and remove China's hooks at the same time? If not, we could see a U.S. military response on the ground and some level of occupation for a period of time. Those on the side of China say they're only protecting their economic interests, but China is known for playing the long game. Can the U.S. really afford to sit back and allow them to seize more influence and control of this choke point that is so critical to trade and national security? I believe we're about to find out just how effective Trump's peace through strength strategy will be when it comes to Chinese influence and investment. I'm Ike Wingate, and this has been the Ike Report.